Hey all, this is Roy from Dun Inc. and I'm here to go over the new CamLift software. This is for Visionary Digital CamLift version 2.9.7.1 as of January 2019. Once you've downloaded the software from the site, you need to install it. It installs just like the previous version of 2.94. Once you launch the software, it launches exactly the same as the old software. Now this has a few differences to it. This software is designed to run the brand new CamLifts that aren't even out on the market yet. One of the features it adds is a fine focus mode, which is what I'm going to go over right now. I'm not going to get too much into the granular detail of the other functions of the new CamLift. I'll wait until we come out with a video on the CamLifts for that. But I want to get this software out and get it beta tested now. What I would suggest also, if you haven't already got a copy of your custom lens scales, if you've gone in here and you've got a custom lens, like here we've got the microscope. And you can see the settings on that. You might have other lenses in here that you're going to pick from. If you want to carry those over to this new software, what I suggest you do is this. You go in with hidden files exposed. You do that in Control Panel, where you go Show Hidden Files. You want to go into Users, User, App Data, and Roaming. And then you want to go to Visionary Digital and the CamLift controller. The version that you've currently got, which might, let's say you got 2.94, you'd open that up. You go to Settings, and you would copy the custom lens scale. Now what I've done, I've got a copy of my custom lens scale in my setup files. So CamLift custom lens file. So it's right here. I keep it on hand. So what you do when you install 2.9.71, you go to the same place, you delete this file and you add yours. And that way the new version of the software will have exactly the same custom lens files that you have on the current software, and you're not going to have to sit there and put them in manually. Okay, with that being said, let's take a look at some of the big differences in this software. And again, I'm not going to get into the granular detail of every little thing. Go to Edit Settings, hit OK. Now, I took a screen cap of 2.9.4 to show you the difference. Here you've got 7 fields, and here you've got 9 fields. What the difference, you got 8 fields, sorry. What the difference being is this fine acceleration field, and I'll get to that in just a second. If you go into 2.94 before you install this, and take a screen cap of your advanced settings so that you can actually just type them in here if you want them differently. When you fire this up, this is going to be the default. See this box that says reverse? Leave it checked. Very important. Leave it checked. This is a beta version of the software. Now, I'll uncheck this for the new CamLifts that have a motor on the top, but you want, for all the existing CamLifts, you want this box checked, and that's the default startup, so don't mess with that. Aside from that, the motor acceleration on this also goes down to 50, which is a very slow ramp speed, and up to 1,000. So I'll put it to something like 200, or the default is, let's go to the default. The default is 100. Fine, leave it be. The fine acceleration determines how fine your fine focus mode is. The smaller this number, the finer your focus will be. So when I'm using my microscope objectives, I might use a 1 or 2. If I'm using a 20x or 50x, even a 10x. If I'm, and I'll demo with a MPE 65mm 1:5x at 5x, I would kick this up to at least 5, maybe 7. So the motor acceleration, when it's low like this, what it does is it takes a while to ramp up to full speed. It runs full speed, then when you let off on the button or at the end of the step, it ramps down. So there's an acceleration, a run, and a deceleration. When you have this number very high, like 700 or 1,000, there's virtually no ramp up. It's instant on, run, instant off. So what that creates in small steps when you're doing Z stacking, it's a very abrupt step. It's like a little jackhammer. You really don't want to do that. So anywhere between 100 to 300 is great. Now the fine acceleration I just said, I'm setting it at 5 for my MPE at 5x. Holding current, leave it where it is. Lead screw pitch, this is important. Now the reason we don't have extra fine or standard is because the new CamLifts coming out are going to have any number of lead screw pitches available. Anything from 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter to 10 millimeters, depending on the type of job you want to use it for. The finer the pitch, the smaller the step you can create. Now, the extra fine lead screw pitch has a pitch of 2 millimeters, so that means that for every full revolution of the motor, you have linear travel of 2 millimeters, either up or down. The standard lead screw pitch on your CamLift, if you have a standard pitch, is 4 millimeters. So if you have a standard, you're going to have to type in 4.0. The default on this is 2, by the way. The current CamLift I'm using right now, it's a new CamLift I've got in my lab. I'm setting up, doing some beta testing. It happens to be a 1. So I'll set it at 1 millimeter pitch. Now, your lead screw length, follow what you've got. If you've got the newest CamLift, it's 550. If you've got the old CamLift that mounted the K2, it's going to be 400. I've got a micro lift. Mine is actually 200. So I can dial in whatever lead screw length I want. That's another difference on the new CamLifts. They're going to be more versatile that way. Backlash correction, leave it. It's in micropulses, and 4 micropulses equates to 0.8 micron. So there is virtually no backlash in this thing. The shutter time, this is the time the camera thinks you're holding down the button. It's in milliseconds, so it's half a second, which is plenty. If you find that your camera, regardless of whether it's a Canon or Nikon or Olympus or Sony, if you find that your camera isn't firing reliably during a stack, you may want to increase this. The cameras have a smart circuit, and the cameras sense that if you just flick the shutter button and you don't really hold it down long enough, they assume that it was an accident. They're not going to fire the camera like it's, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, that's not great, but that's the way it is, and Canons will fire anywhere from 300 to 500 milliseconds, no problem. So we have seen some Canons that require 700 as they age a little bit. Again, keep this box checked reverse for you guys. For me, I can't do that because I've got my motor on top, so I'm unchecking it, but you want to keep it checked. Okay, I'm going to hit apply. Hit OK. So it's basically the same as the old CamLift in that respect. The interface looks the same, right? The only thing when you get into auto run, you'll see there's no K2 setup here anymore. So it's a real clean, simple. All the functions are there. It's just you don't have the setup for the K2. And when you go into setup lenses, right out of the gate, it includes the 50, the 100, the 65, and it includes the 200 millimeter. The microscope mounted on the 200 millimeter. So that's factory default. If you've got the Mitutoyo microscope, you can simply go into here. You can select this, and you can go into manage lenses. You can go edit lens. Okay. And you can add fields. You can change values and save it. That's fine. One thing, if you just take your existing lens. Custom lenses, like I explained earlier, you don't have to get in to edit anything. You'll have exactly what you are currently working with. So that's that. I'm gonna work with the 65. So I've got this. Now I've got a live view up and running. You can't see anything, but it's there. Trust me. Now I've got a really nasty looking fly under here. With a lot of dirt on its wing, which is what I'm looking for, something to be able to focus on. So I'm going to go infinite without fine focus, and I'm going to run this down till I can see something. Okay, so I've got this wing. Let's say I wanted to, let me say I wanted to get onto this CD with a little piece of dirt on it, right? Normally, with the up and down button, well, I almost had it there, shit. With the up and down button, it's a little coarse. So what we did is we put in these fine movements so that you can try to find the fine movement that corresponds to your ability to focus on that. That happens to be, see, that's even a little bit coarse. So, but check this out. It goes back down and it goes back up right to the exact freaking spot. There's no slop in this thing. So anyway, that's okay. The problem with that is that every time you do one of those micro moves, watch my lift interface here. It grays out for a minute, then comes back on. Grays out and comes back on. It grays out because what it does is you're telling it move to a position. So it moves to that position. It gets feedback from the motor. It verifies it's in that position. Then it turns back on to let you take another step. It's doing it pretty fast, but still, it's not like a smooth racking back and forth focus. It's a bit coarse. Okay? Now, if I wanted to get that finer focus, let me find a spot. Let's go to the center where all these veins sort of meet up. Okay, so now I know that's going up. So I'm going to go into my fine focus, go to infinite. Oh, I'm going to go this way. I just roll it right to the point where I want it. So I mean, I'm right there. Now, if I wanted to go, let's say this CD, see this little tiny filament on here. So I can just tickle the down button and get that sucker just nailed, right? Now, let's say I want to get the tip of the CD. I'll go back up. Boom. Okay, no more figuring out what mag I am and, what step is the smallest one. I can get in there and just sort of salt to taste, and it works really well. I'll give you an idea here. So you can see me just I'm going down just slowly, and now I'll go back across the field. I can stop at any point, and I'm not holding the button, I'm just tapping it. So if I wanted to go into here. So that's it for the fine focus. It's kind of fun. It works well. Very stable. So give it a shot and let me know. I'm going to shut this down. Now, when you go into any of these other steps, like I said, the fine focus is not affecting it. Your normal acceleration is taking effect. Also, when you go into auto run, watch this checkbox. Boop, turns off. There's no way in auto run that you're going to be affected by the fine focus mode. If I didn't turn that off, when you started to do your stacks, you'd end up with this long ramp, like every time you made a step, it would drive you crazy. So that's off. So that works out really well. Let me know how you like it. Get back to me. This is for beta testing. Again, this is 2.9.7.1. Oh, and when you're done at the end of the day, make sure that fine focus mode is off. And then when you close out the CamLift, it'll run to the top without having to ramp up. So once it finds its home, it'll shut itself off. There you go. That's it. That's all there is to it. Again, let me know. Give me some feedback on this thing. As soon as we get the new CamLifts up and running, I'll do a video and show you what they look like. They're pretty phenomenal. In the meantime, enjoy this thing. Peace out. I'm gone. Bye.